with hydrogen, we talk about the hydrogen economy. So, but there's somewhere in the spectrum of, I'm interested to know your view, in the spectrum of, hydrogen is now just used for industrial processes, etc. It's not as really integrated into our energy system. So this notion of a hydrogen economy, which it completely underpins our entire energy ecosystem.
Yeah.
There must be some points of inflection there on a chart that's saying that this is where hydrogen plays a good role.
Yeah.
Here's where it's optimal.
Yeah.
So what are the valid, plausible use cases for hydrogen that make economic sense, where there's other alternatives to provide similar services for similar challenges?
Yeah, one of the first books I read when I started in my journey on hydrogen research was Jeremy Rifkin's book called The Hydrogen Economy, and he had a vision that was sort of prevalent at the time of everything was going to be hydrogen powered. Hydrogen would be the backup to all renewables. That view no longer prevails, and it's not one that I would ascribe to. Hydrogen to me has got a relatively small but crucial role in a sustainable energy system, and that would be for those difficult to abate sectors, those really difficult to decarbonise sectors, heavy duty transport on roads, aircraft, ships, various types of industrial processes, and long duration storage. It's also got a role, I think, this is maybe casting forward in time, at least 10 years, but if we realise in Ireland our offshore renewable potential, there are tens of gigawatts of potential offshore Ireland. Even if we electrify our entire economy, we will have more offshore wind, tidal, wave than we know what to do with. How can we find a way to, can we become an energy exporter? It might sound a little strange when we're in the midst of an energy security crisis, but it's the kind of thing that we have an industry, a worldwide industry, the biggest industry in the world is moving chemical energy by ships and by pipelines. Can we replace that chemical energy with renewable chemical energy? Could it be hydrogen that is used for intercontinental energy trade? The International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, produced a really interesting study recently on the geopolitics of renewable energy, and a huge focus of it was on hydrogen. The renewable energy powers will not be the same countries they may not be the same countries as the fossil fuel powers. So how will the balance of power shift, and how will this energy resource get around the world? If I'm a wind farm or a solar farm operator in Namibia, which has got the best wind and solar resources in the world, how do I get my energy to market? And so they are looking at hydrogen as a way of exporting their energy. I sort of went into a bit of a rabbit warren in there, but there's a great quote from Michael Liebreich who talks about hydrogen being the champagne of the energy system. It's something that you want to use sparingly, but it really hits the spot. So I don't know if I'd use that exact metaphor, but used in the right way, hydrogen has got an important role underpinning the long-term storage, the long-term stability of a variable renewable based energy system.
And what are the use cases that you hear spoken about that you hear and you think probably not?
I think to me, seeing the progress that have been made on battery electric vehicles, I do find it difficult to believe that we will have hydrogen powered cars. There are a few hydrogen powered cars around, and some Hyundai and Toyota manufacture them, but I don't think they're going to be mainstream technologies. I think as well for most homes, for most domestic settings, I would think that hydrogen heating, hydrogen use in boilers is probably not going to be a feasible option. Maybe in certain cases where we've got, gas grid connected high density housing that just would not be suitable for a retrofit. That could be a case for hydrogen retrofit in boilers, but I think by and large, and most studies from around the world are sort of showing this, that retrofit heat pumps works for the majority of cases. So those would be the two, the personal mobility and domestic heating would be two that I think would be off the table for hydrogen. But, long distance trucking is certainly a very interesting one for hydrogen, especially if you want the flexibility to go 400, 500, 600 kilometers a day. When you start to get to shipping and aviation, these are sectors where we're really only scratching the surface of how we can decarbonize these. Like the major route for decarbonizing the shipping industry until this year was converting from heavy fuel oil to liquefied natural gas. Now, I'm sure anyone who bought a liquefied natural gas powered ship in the last while is probably not too happy at their investment. So there's, the routes to decarbonising shipping and aviation all pass through chemical energy sources. And when they're passing through chemical energy sources, hydrogen must play a role there.
So back to your champagne analogy, is that champagne isn't a drink for every occasion, but there's some occasions when only champagne will do.
Exactly.
And